if you're a business owner, you have to think in terms of markets and in terms of what your position in that market is and how you are capturing that market and who you're up against and what it looks like and what it's going to take for you to reach the goals that you have. And I think what's really cool about pillar-based marketing is we're saying for any topic, which seems like such a fuzzy and gray concept, but for any topic, there is a market for organic search traffic. And we can know it, we can measure it, we can understand your presence in it versus your competitors. And thinking that way means that from the very start, if you're focusing your business on your marketing spend, especially on that kind of a strategic thinking, you're going to have an advantage over anybody who's just going out there and trying things.
Hi, and welcome to the 91 Day Success Podcast. I'm Jonathan, and I am thrilled today to have the author of the brand new book. We'll get it held up here, see if we can see it without too much glare.
There we go.
Pillar-based marketing. We'll try to get. I'm not very good at holding books up, but I've got Ryan Brock with me today, author of Pillar-based Marketing, and I bought the Kindle version. I've got the soft cover on the way. The Kindle Ryan, I love this book and I love the concept, and I'm so excited we have a chance to chat with you today. For people that don't know who you are, aren't familiar with the book yet, can you start with kind of a 30-second elevator pitch, Ryan? Give us a little idea who you are and help the audience understand a little bit about you.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for reading the book and for the kind words about it. It still blows my mind. We're only about a month away from publication. So it blows my mind that people are reading this thing that I've never met. And my ideas are being virally implanted in their skulls. I appreciate that. But yeah, so my background, I am a writer first and foremost. I graduated college. Sorry,
That's right.
absolute
I
wrong
know
moment.
you're actually joining us from Soldier Field, I believe, which is incredible. So thank you for that.
Yeah, this is conference season and book tour season. So I'm at a conference in Chicago that happens to be at Soldier Field. So I'm in a giant empty concourse here, the club section, which is fun. I grew up in Chicagoland as a Bears fan, so this is pretty cool for me. But anyway, writer by passion, writer by education, graduated from college, knew I wanted to write, didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to get a book deal or whatever, especially as a 22-year-old, know nothing, no experience guy. And I discovered the world of marketing and SEO. And almost immediately after someone started offering money for writing, which is all I wanted, I was like, I'm going to start an agency because this is awesome and hire all of my writer friends that also need work. And with no knowledge, no experience, and really I started an agency when I was 23 years old, a content marketing agency, and ran that for a little over 10 years before eventually selling it to Demand Jump, where I'm at now. And it's Demand Jump's technology that sort of opened the doorway for the pillar-based marketing methodology that's in the book.
Awesome. And I'm excited to hear about that journey. And I know from just some other podcasts I've watched you've done and some reading about you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you see yourself as a fiction writer, but yet you've got into the nonfiction side. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey, Ryan? I mean, obviously, I know you've got a passion for writing, but how did you make that transition from maybe a passion for fiction into just an amazing guide here? And by the way, I want to compliment you. I love how you incorporate storytelling into this book. It's not just a checklist of do this. You've made it intriguing and exciting by weaving that in. I'm guessing that's part of what you brought to the table because of your passion for fiction writing. But can you share that a little bit with us and how you made that transition?
Yeah, I made that transition painfully and forcibly.
I love
It's
it.
every 18-year-old who goes to college and wants to tell stories is going to be the writer of the next great American novel. That's what I really wanted to do. And I did in my years, college and even after college. I was able to publish quite a bit of short fiction in a lot of journals and magazines and things like that. I enjoy just telling stories. I enjoy world building. I enjoy scene dressing,
Yep.
creating characters, helping just transport somebody to another place. got some cool delivery action happening behind me here. And it's just very hard to make a living doing that. And it was just as hard, maybe even harder. What are we talking about here? 15 years ago when I was trying to do this for real, the publishing industry was just starting to freak out over ebooks and e-publishing, and a lot of people were starting to self-publish. And so you had this flood in all of the big digital book marketplaces like Amazon and Apple iBooks, I think it was called at the time.
Yep. Yep.
And you had like your main industry, like actual published works that have all of the money and backing behind them at the top of the library. And then all of the unknown authors who I think all saw the internet as a great democratizer. I can get it if I
Mhm.
write really good stuff, I can publish it and get it out to the world. And you find that you're just buried under a bunch of other junk. So actually, I've been complaining about that to a few friends of mine. My best friend, Josh, who was at the time a designer, he's a UX designer, and about how it was just very difficult to stand out and to get noticed and to find an agent or to find a publisher willing to take a risk on you or whatever. So he came up with the idea to help me build like a portfolio of my work on the internet using HTML5, which was at the time very cutting edge technology. We're talking like responsive and
Wow.
animated and like super pretty. And because I'm a guy who takes, excuse me, because I'm a guy who takes a small idea and blows it up out of proportion as soon as I fall in love with it, I was like, we could help a lot of authors with this. And we could actually go from just putting like little snippets to like making this our own digital publishing platform where we own the platform and can invest in writers that aren't super well known. And we can use analytics and help them improve their audience. So like right away, I was thinking about like, how do I measure the impact of like my writing? And in order to build a company like that, because we decided to go ahead and turn it into a digital publishing startup, I needed to learn a lot about marketing, about business in general, finance. I literally went out and bought a book called Accounting for Non-Accountants so I could
Yep.
start learning any of this stuff. And the way that I figured out that I could get information I wanted from people who had experience that I didn't was say, hey, we've got a company blog and we're documenting the birth of this company and we're interviewing really smart thought leaders and whatnot for stories to share with our audience of authors and help them learn. Can I interview you for the blog? So I'd interview them. I would just ask them all the stuff that I needed to know in order to grow the business. But then I'd write really great, flattering articles about these people. And it didn't take long for me to do that for a couple of different marketers. And they're just like, oh, you're really good at this. And we need people to write content for our business. Can we pay you to do that? I didn't even know what that meant at the time. But I was like, yeah, you want to the whole point of this whole endeavor was to make money with writing and figure out how to get published. You want to start giving me money for that now, and I get to practice. And I found actually that my fiction background was really good for business writing. I came in, I was able to work with different clients, learn how to write in their voice because that's what I spent years learning in college, like practicing how to become other people in my writing. Importantly, also go to school for creative writing, workshop your content. You're working with other people all the time. You're taking their feedback. You're having to listen when they tell you what you wrote was trash and throw it out and start over again. And you're also learning to give feedback. So that means that you're in a really good position to work with like clients who maybe don't want to sugarcoat everything they have to say. You got thicker skin. And as I started hiring writers to help me, I realized that as a team, if I hired creative writers, we all had that background of the workshop. So it was easy for us to I don't know, I could write something and get it 90% of the way there, but then review it with the rest of my team and get it where it needs to go when my brain was tapped out. So I was able to then build my agency around that understanding of writing is actually a team exercise. We all learn how to do it as a group when we're young. And we do it that way here. And we hire people with creative writing backgrounds who know how to become other people with their voice, who understand how to make people feel things as well as communicate information. That sets us up to be really, really special in terms of the content agency. So the transition was all about, I need to make money because my wife's getting mad at me about not making money. But it actually, I stumbled upon this entire need in this industry of marketing for like really good storytellers that wasn't being met, and was able to build an agency around it because I had that fiction background. So it
Oh,
all
so
came together in the end. Yeah.
so true, so true. You've done a great job, and like I said, I love the book. Talk to us a little bit. So our audience is mainly business owners, business leaders, people like that, entrepreneurs. Talk to us a little bit about that. They're not probably as familiar with the concept of pillar-based marketing as what I am. Share, without obviously giving away all of the information, but share a little bit about what that means and how does that benefit a business as they're looking at creating their marketing campaigns and their content and things that are relevant to their audience.
Yeah. So the highest level I think I can go, if a business can drive really good qualified traffic through organic search, that traffic is in terms of digital marketing is always going to be the best quality traffic you can get.
Absolutely.
When people are out there identifying themselves to the world as in need of a solution to a problem, maybe it's a stupid question, maybe it's a really complex one. But when people are asking those questions to search engines, they're the opposite of people that we advertise to, who don't care about what we have to say, are going about their business. And we're trying to interact their day, get our message in front of them. With these people, they are ready for wisdom. They're ready for experience, perspective, information. If you can get yourself to be the one that shows up at the top of search engine results, you're in a really good place to start driving just high quality traffic that can turn into high quality leads or repeat customers or whatever it is you're going after. The problem, however, is up to this point, getting to page one of search results is a messy endeavor. The SEO industry, search engine optimization industry in general, has been one that it's a black box. We're playing a game where the rules aren't abundantly clear. They can change at any minute. And the person who makes them is both our boss and our greatest enemy. Right? Like, we don't know
Yeah,
what they're thinking.
absolutely.
They tell us what they're thinking, but only enough to where we can try to guess at what works and doesn't. And so SEO for a long time has been a history of, well, find some exploit, do this. If you get enough links back to your website, page one. Or if you write enough copy and cram enough keywords into it, you can rank well. And over time, it's been a story of Google just like getting better at spotting who is actually an authority, who is actually communicating with the intent of helping people, and then who is just trying to sell something. And over time, they've gotten better and better at that, which means that it's just been kind of guesswork, trying to figure out as a business, what are the things we need to write about in order to actually provide the insight that our audience needs? Which keywords should we target? What keywords are going to drive the most volume if we end up ranking for them? And which ones are going to drive people who look like they want to make a purchase if we want to drive them? And so you end up with this strategy that's just cobbled together and it's full of bias. It's full of, as a business, here are the things I want to talk about. Here are the things I think matter to my audience. But pillar based marketing and the technology that drives it is a complete shift away from thinking about these traditional trappings of SEO and instead thinking about what the market is for traffic around the topic that your business cares about. So, what we're encouraging and empowering you to do is to take a step back away from keyword lists and from all of these just checkbox things that you think you got to do in order to rank well, backlinking and all these other things, and instead say, if we can analyze search behavior, specifically the recommendation engine that drives Google, when you search for
Mhm.
something on Google, you're going to find two positions down, there's going to be a bank of questions that people also ask. And then there's going to be related searches at the bottom of the first page. That's Google's way of saying we understand what journey you're on. And more times than not, when people are on your journey, they also go to places. Um, that's a really good, interesting contextual clue to like how people operate. And what we've discovered is you can actually look at that recommendation engine, start stepping away and getting a large amount of that data to the point where you can actually map the full network of questions and keywords that actually matter to the market around your topic. And then you can figure out which ones matter the most, which ones are most likely to be searched for across a dozen different journeys where they start and end in different places. People are looking for different things. It's just a completely different methodology for understanding what it takes to become an authority on a topic. And by following the methodology, by creating a network of content that mirrors the network of search behavior all around your pillar topic, that's where the word pillar comes in, you're able to actually signal both humans in the search engines that you care about what people are wanting, what they're looking for, and that you are focused not on just selling things, but giving it to them. In turn, what we found is that people get to page one in a fraction of the time for multiple more keywords than they would have going about SEO in an old way. So what we've really done is we've said now that really valuable organic search traffic, if you do this, if you do it right, if you follow the methodology in the book, that can be as predictable as like a paid advertising program for driving traffic to your website, which means that you can stop spending quite so much money, not all of your money, but quite so much money
Yep.
on interruptive ads that drive worse leads. And instead, more predictably, know what kind of content to write so that content becomes visible and drives the traffic you need. And so it completely changes the go to market equation for any business, I think. It makes this something that you cannot ignore if you're trying to grow and find your audience online.
No, I absolutely agree with your premise. And again, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the concept, and we're implementing that a lot in our agency for our clients. One of the things that I thought things that's interesting, you talked in another podcast that I was watching recently, and I agree with you. As people that do SEO in the agency world, one of the hardest things from our side is often explaining to the client that SEO is an investment. It's not a switch. It's something that is going to take some time. Do you see that the pillar-based marketing concept as it relates to SEO helps shorten that time frame? Historically, as an industry, we're always telling clients it takes a year. You've got to be willing to invest for at
Yeah.
least a year. And that's hard because I often tell our clients 90 days into this SEO project, you're going to think you've wasted all of your money. By 6 months, you're going to be wondering, but maybe not positive. And by a year, you're going to be happy. Do you see pillar based marketing expediting that process at all? Or what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
It expedites it incredibly, and it's why I sold my agency to Demand Jump in order to tell the story of pillar-based marketing and the technology. So, like, I become a customer of Demand Jump when I found the technology, which is just completely different from what, SEMrush or a Moz or anybody else because of that way that we're analyzing search behavior. So the recommendations we're giving and then what I was able to do with that, myself and others at Demand Jump in order to like experiment over time and see what really matters and what doesn't. What do we just think matters when it comes to SEO and what really matters? And we arrived at a methodology that is pretty repeatable. It's pretty understandable. It's clear. It's going to lead you to do things that maybe you wouldn't. You're going to write articles that seem elementary for your audience or maybe not a perfect one-to-one alignment with what you're trying to sell. But in doing so, you're going to make it possible for every piece of content in your network on a topic to rank better and rank faster. And because of this, what we found, and this is why I think in the joke, or in the book, I joke a lot about how like I had a full head of hair when I started
Yes.
autonomy media, and I got really stressed out trying to fight that battle that you're talking about over 6 months to a year trying to convince clients to keep spending money on something that's not driving any returns. And if we're lucky, will in a year, but it's only going to be a portion of what we've written that actually drives any traffic. And we're going to
Absolutely
have to,
true.
it's very difficult. It's this, we've all had this like agreement. It's okay to waste time and energy and money here. And so I found data that I thought could help me make better creative decisions. And it turned out that it could. And so I went from having to have that conversation every day to asking clients to give me like 6 weeks. Give me 6 weeks to write some content and publish it, and you're going to see the results that normally you wouldn't see until a year in. And we're at a point now where I have to sandbag because if I get too aggressive with the promises that I make about pillar based marketing and what it can do, people write it off as like another one of these like hollow silver bullet magic fixes for SEO that we've heard about in the past, but it's not. It is a very common occurrence for me to watch a company that's never done pillar based marketing, figure out their first pillar of content, follow our instructions, write it, get it all ready and publish it. And then within 4 or 5 hours, they start earning page one rankings.
Wow.
5 days is pretty average at this point. Certainly within 2 weeks, you'll start seeing, we call it the hockey stick. It's like it
Yeah,
goes up,
absolutely.
up,
Yep.
up and to the right. And you start seeing that. Now, the numbers that represents is going to differ depending on your company, the amount of content you're writing, where you're going. But if you have a budget to write 16 pieces of content, which is what I say you start with because it creates that network effect, those 16 pieces of content, normally, if you were operating in the old world, you would write them maybe one at a time. You would publish them maybe once a week. So, first of all, you're a quarter in just to get the whole batch of content out. Maybe you're half that if you're like publishing 2 articles a week. But man, it's a big learning curve to let go of the calendar and doing that on a regular basis. By writing it all at once and dropping it all at once, you get there faster just because that whole thing starts appreciating in value faster. But I mean, the last time I did a pillar strategy for Demand Jump, it was in October. We decided to target a brand new pillar that we've never done anything on, SaaS content, because we like to run SaaS companies.
Yep.
We wrote 28 pieces of content. Day one, we published 14. Within 5 days, we had over 100 page one rankings actually driving traffic. So not just like some rankings, but these were traffic generating rankings. 3 weeks in, published the other 14. By that point, we were at like 200, I think, page one rankings. And then within 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks at most, we broached 500 page one rankings with this content. And so is 28 pieces a lot of content? Yeah, it certainly is. And that's going to be an investment from anybody. But in the first 3 months after that content was published, we did the math. We ended up getting what would have been annualized like $150,000 worth of paid traffic. But it was all through this organic content that we had to invest in once and publish once. And now it just keeps going. It
What
keeps
I s
going.
Yeah, I say the benefit of organic though, it keeps paying you back. It's not like an ad that when you stop paying for the ad, it goes away. That organic content's still working for you. Now, what are we talking? 9 months later, 8 months later, it's still working for Demand Jump because it's there and it's every day it's findable. Huge value.
Yeah, and I think at this point we're over like 700 page one rankings for that topic network. So when I like it's all keywords that we've identified as being super critical, as being connected, and by connected we mean across two random journeys where somebody starts with a term and ends with a different term or a
Yep.
different web page. As they learn about a topic, these are all terms that tend to show up often across all these different journeys. So none of these are not valuable. A lot of them would be presented because they're questions as like zero traffic keywords because Google doesn't give traffic estimates on questions. A lot of them seem elementary, a lot of them seem different, but aggregate, all 700 of those, it is a significant amount of traffic we're driving and it generates leads for us. And it does it like back to the original question, it does it in a few weeks. Like we start benefiting from that in days. And then
Wow.
a few weeks later, it just keeps getting better and better. 6 months, a year, we don't even, that, by that point, we won't even be thinking about this anymore. We'll move on to something different.
So exciting. So, as you look at pillar-based marketing from your perspective, are there businesses of different sizes, Ryan, that can benefit or different industries? Or what kind of companies do you think benefit most from pillar-based marketing?
The phrase I like to use is considered purchase. If you are selling something that involves a considered purchase, somebody has to research. They have to really think about it because it's either a big purchase or it's a complicated one. Maybe there's specific technical stuff involved. Maybe there are real big like questions about what priorities you have. This could be B2B, B2C. This could be you're selling a product or a service. What matters is you're selling something that really lends itself well to self education
Hmm.
as part of the buying journey. We really like with Demand Jump, which is I keep talking about Demand Jump because it built this platform to facilitate this methodology. So they're tied hand in hand. And so we've obviously had a lot of experience running companies through the pillar based marketing program. And like our favorites to work with would be like B2B a considered purchase. We really think that works really well. But we've done e-commerce. We've done two-person mom and pop shops. We've done some of the biggest companies you've ever heard of. Um, it works across the board. The one thing that's been a little bit tricky for us to figure out over the years has been local SEO. We think that we're finally starting to get a critical mass of data that we have a direction for how to go there. But when somebody's, I only want to drive traffic in Raleigh,
Yes.
it's a little bit tougher because like this is so effective. You're going to drive traffic from other places. And that's sometimes not great. Someone with a really local presence to want to invest elsewhere. But other than that, it's pretty good across the board.
I love that considered purchase concept. I like that, and I think that really is valuable for business owners that are listening to think about, okay, is that where I fit in? How can you do that? Other than buying the book, Ryan, let me ask you, if business owners are watching this and they're going, wow, how do I learn more about this whole concept of pillar-based marketing? What are your recommendations? Obviously, first recommendation, I'm going to tell you point blank, buy the book. It's fantastic. If I can bring it, it's not going to come up on my iPad, but buy the book. What other suggestions do you have or resources can you share that would be valuable as people are trying to learn about pillar-based marketing?
Yeah. So I have a column, a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn called the Pillar Column because I like puns. And that was the first idea that popped into my head.
I love
Um,
it.
and it's a weekly column where we talk about all of the mindset shifts that happen when you start embracing pillar based marketing and start walking away from like more traditional SEO. That's a really good resource. Picking up steam. I've only been doing it for about 2 months, but it's picking up steam really fast. There's a big community growing around it. Also, Demand Jump University is it's an online learning platform that I built around pillar based marketing. You can get a free Demand Jump account, and that's all you need. If you just go to university.demandjump.com, you'll create an account, which also will double as a free account on the Demand Jump platform. So you can start experimenting with the data and seeing what that network of search behavior looks like around the topics you care about, the pillar topics you're
Mhm.
interested in. But with that free account, you'll also be able to get access to a few dozen courses and hours of material, a lot of my face and a lot of me rambling about how to specifically go about the work of choosing a pillar topic, building a pillar strategy, writing pillar content, publishing it, and watching the results.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That's fantastic. Last question I got to ask you related to this is as a selfish question as an agency, do you guys offer any type of certification or partner program with agencies that are adopting and working with Demand Jump to deliver this type of stuff? Or is that something in the works that may be coming down the road?
We offer both. So we have in Demand Jump University, you can get certified as a strategist, a writer, or as a specifically an agency reseller of Demand Jump. So we have certifications for all of that. And then we have a partner program for agencies, specifically where we work to help co-sell and resell the software because it's on a domain by domain
Sure.
basis. And then enable and empower and support agencies with education to get them delivering and driving these kinds of results really fast for their clients.
I can see we're going to have a few additional discussions coming down the road then, because that's fantastic. I love it. Ryan, one of the things before we go, and I think I know where you're going to head with the answer, but we call this the 91 Day Success Podcast because one of the things we love to do is we love to ask our guests if you had to start over. And as an entrepreneur and an agency owner, I'm sure you've had this thought before. If
Yeah.
you had to start over and you only had $1,000, you had your laptop, you had your house, you had all the things you needed to live, but you had $1,000 to build the business. What would you do as Ryan in the first 91 days or 3 months to build that business?
Yeah. It is an obvious answer, isn't it? But me, Ryan, what I would do is I would grab a free or a trial account to Demand Jump and I would get what I needed to build a pillar of content. And I would reserve maybe $200 of that to immediately drive some traffic to that new pillar content that I'm ready to
Mhm.
publish. I would focus because if I was starting a new business, I'd be marketing to either agencies or small businesses, probably trying to work on some pillar-based marketing strategy consulting, that sort
Sure,
of thing.
makes sense.
But either way, I would be driving traffic I'd make sure to pick a topic that's going to get me some interested traffic around what it is I have to offer. I would probably try to grab a little bit of that money and go to a real world event, a conference. I'm going to like,
Great idea.
I think I told you I'm on the tour now since the book launched. I was in St. Louis a few weeks ago, New York last week, Chicago this week. 2 weeks, I'm going to Atlanta, then Toronto, then San Diego, then Vegas, Boston, DC, I mean, all over the place. And every single time I go to a real world event, like maybe it's just it's amazing. I think after COVID, especially, like we're all hungry for that connection. And what better way to meet somebody, shake a hand, start a conversation. So I would be doing that. And I would be doing, I'd probably start over where I was. If you have any marketing know-how, any marketing background, or you have someone who can support that, just start talking to people and write. Just write content about them. And you're going to start building relationships really fast that way. With all that combined, I think within just, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 days, I'd probably be in a position to be taking on my first client, my first customers. I would expect to be able to do that if I was focusing my money and my time there.
Fantastic. No, I love it, and that's great, and it's so cool to talk to somebody that actually has a system already and it's ready to go, so I really appreciate that, Ryan. I wanna thank you for your time today. I know you're super busy, and I wanna wish you the best of luck on the book tour. Before we go, I'm gonna try to get this to show once again here. I wanna encourage everybody, if you're serious, buy the book. It's fantastic. Ryan is not only knowledgeable on pillar-based marketing, but he's also a great storyteller. And the way in which Ryan presents this makes this a very readable and actionable book from a business owner's perspective. Take a look at that and then pre-order the hard copy, get that ready, and go from there. Ryan, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap things up?
Just thank you for having me, and shout out to Toph Day, my co-author, who I realize now, what, 30 minutes in, that I never mentioned his name a single time. But when I said other people demand jump, he was the guy who bought my agency from me and built Demand Jump into what it was when I found it. Just a wonderful human being, a great partner, and someone whose vision helped lead to this becoming what it is.
That's
Toph
awesome.
Days, he's a good guy to follow. He's the president of Elevate Ventures, which is the most active VC firm in the Great Lakes region.
Oh,
Really
wow.
cool. If you're into business and tech, you should definitely check him out, Christopher Day on LinkedIn. And yeah, Jonathan, you'll love getting your hard copy of the book because it's a matte finish. So you can
Oh,
hold it up
sweet.
to as many cameras as you want,
I'll
and you're
take
not going to get
pictures and
any
send them,
reflection.
yes.
Yeah. But thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for sharing the book. It makes my heart warm to see you going out there and connecting with so many people. So
Really love the book. I love the concept. I'm so grateful for your time. Ryan, thank you. So I want to thank everybody else for watching the podcast. If you've stuck with us through the end, this has been a huge value drop today, tons of value. We're going to put all of Ryan's contact information, that how to get a hold of him, how to buy the book, all that. That'll all be here. Click on those links, follow Ryan. And if you're like me, I didn't know about the newsletter. I'm going to go sign up for that next. So make sure you keep in touch.
cool.
With that, make it a great day, everybody, and we'll see you on the other side.